Welcome to another edition of the Quantumology series. We're looking today at dimensions. Dimensions in the many forms in which they are said to exist, and exploring what that might mean in terms of our ability to comprise a theory that fits with our own reality. Now, there are a number of theories here on board, and I'm going to go through them one at a time with you to see which ones you feel resonate and which ones make the most sense. This is the rolled up version, the compactification of dimensions that is proposed within the Kaluza-Klein theory. And this essentially says that a fifth dimension and other dimensions by default are curled up into little wafer roll formats. So they're so tightly curled up that we can neither perceive them nor experiment upon them because they are too small for us to access. Therein we have the compact dimensions rolled up into little wafer curls. This one is more familiar to a lot of people. This one is string theory. Now, string theory has it that everything vibrates on strings of energy, vibrating at various different frequencies. So all the atoms that you're made of and everything around you is made of are vibrating particles
at very, very high frequencies,
or varying frequencies, let's say, and they comprise the known universe. So these strings, because they're vibrating, they are oscillating, in other words, they have access in their own right to variants of the dimensional mix. Here's an explanation in pictorial terms. This section here represents the branching universe theory. Now, this theory goes that every time there is a decision to be made by a person or a particle or anything in between, the universe splits and there is another universe created to accommodate the option that didn't happen in this universe. Now, I feel that's a little bit far-fetched because very, very soon, within a matter of seconds, you would be creating trillions, dillions, gargantuan illions of universes. I'm not sure that that's really feasible, but there you go, it's a theory. Essentially, we're looking at a version of Everett's interpretation here. We're looking at a version of the multiverse. The parallel block universe theory is another name for this. So there's quite a lot of options as to what we write here, but I'll just pitch for branching universes, I think. So this one comes a little bit closer to the potential reality that we experience in terms of being able to actually visualize or conceptualize the decision-making process that we experience on a daily basis, enabling this branching mechanism to somehow occur. And I'm going to go into a little bit more detail in a minute about what my belief is on this one and how it relates to the famous multiverse theory that's illustrated down here. I'm going to bring my birds into the equation here. This is Wirdley, you've met him before, because there are versions, of course, of the universe in which Wirdley doesn't exist, or Wirdley didn't make it didn't get this far. He's just had a bath this morning, so he's looking a bit scruffy. But he's turning into a fantastic bird. He's very happy with his life. He doesn't want to go outside and he doesn't want to fly very much. He's an example of what has happened within the multiversal context. His branch of time, his branch of the universal mechanism, sees him here with me, flying as little as he needs to, but quite happy with his lot and doing very nicely. Of course, that is just one of the many options that could have happened to the little dove dying on somebody's lawn over the road some months ago. This is Wol, who you've also met in other videos, and he equally had many varieties of destiny. He was found by the roadside, and he was destined, ultimately, in the great scheme of things, to not survive because he's blind. He has a cataract in one eye and a detached retina in the other. So, the great scheme of the odds of the universe, he would have been killed by a car or a predator or starved to death. But instead, he ended up here. This again is an option that occurred within the dimensional format, and I'm happy that it did. Hope you are too. Now, I promised to go into my belief on what happens within this multiversal format. Here we have the traditional scientific general viewpoint on the parallel universe system. Here we've got these parallel universes stacked up like neat slices of toast, and these slices are called branes, B-R-A-N-E-S, explained in other videos. This is the bulk, the collection of brains together. We can't count them, don't know anything about the numbers, potentially infinite, but this is it's a bulk multiverse. The bulk multiverse then, consisting of these brains, you'll find in other interpretations wobbly versions of the brains, so with a ripple in there. So they look more like this. But still, nevertheless, the general consensus of thinking tends to be that they are aligned with each other in neat slices. Now, I don't buy this at all. And the reason that I don't buy this is that I have had personal experience of interdimensional effects, and I think that it looks more like this. I'm going to put all the colours in just to make it complete. So as you can see, what I'm effectively drawing here is a warp and weft effect. And that warp and weft effect gives the option of crossing from brain to brain throughout the multiverse. It means that the multiverse isn't a neatly stacked system at all. It's not like a filing cabinet. It's more like a piece of fabric with warp and weft within it. And as we exist within this multiversal framework, we are potentially crossing from brain to brain all the time without realizing that we're doing so. While we're crossing from brain to brain, of course, we are not aware of this because our brains, B-R-A-I-N-S, are set up for the 3D construct of reality in which we exist. Our brains can only compute what the hard drive of 3D reality is providing in terms of information. So our brains are set really on a mode of comprehension that's pre-programmed into us, and we are not given any option to look beyond this 3D framework of experience that our brain computes. Hello, Wirdley. As you can see, he's been, or as you maybe have been able to hear, he's been flapping about to get involved in the equation. Because he rather likes being on these videos and seeing himself on the camera. he has an ego, in other words, does Wirdley. And we all need one of those to get on with life and go wherever it is we're going to go. I wish you looked a bit neater, mate, because that bath made you look really scruffy. Show us your best side. There you are. That side's a bit better. Come on. Yeah, there you go. That's better. That side's better. No, you're going to show us that side instead. Well, there you are. So anyway, as I was saying, the options that we have in terms of the multiversal format are many and varied, and the chances are that we move through these options all the time without realising it. So when you leave the room, you go and make a cup of tea, or you go and see a friend, or you go and do something else, potentially, if this version of the multiverse theory is correct, you can be moving across into another brain of the multiverse without realising what's going on, because your brain is only set up for the entropic system of cause and effect. It's very sedentary. It plods along in that kind of format. And this is where the whole illusion of the arrow of time came from. We've been subjected to a lot of illusions down through the ages. They're many and varied. Very popularly, it was thought that we were the centre of the universe. When it was realised that we weren't the centre of the universe after all, we were then the centre of the solar system, and everything revolved around us. So as you can see, the human ego has a lot to answer for, and it takes us to places that perhaps really we don't need to go. Don't get on my keyboard, Wirdley, you'll do things. I'm inviting you to have a look at the logic behind these various theories. Given that I owe Mr. Kaluza a huge apology
for spelling his name wrong
during the course of this video.
It's spelt with a Z,
not with an S. So I'm not going to remake the whole thing.
I'm just going to say sorry.
Please contribute with your own comments. It's lovely to know what you think about all this. But I'm going to put this down as the warp-weft multiverse and see whether anyone takes it up and explores it further and gives it more meat and more parameters. So hey, I'm going to leave you with this. I'll move Wirdley off my mouse in order to sign off. Good boy. And we'll have another look at dimensions a little later on in the series. And in the meantime, of course, have fun with all your explorations into the quantum realm. Your options are wide open. So take the information with you. Find quantumology wherever you wish to. And there are plenty more videos to enjoy. Rummage around in the little library that we've got so far. Take care. Love you loads. And I'll see you very soon. Cheerio. Bye.